Welcome everybody to today's show, Mia Ann O'Kennedy. Now, before we get to the part where we introduce her, I would like to just say a few words about her. She's a loving mother, a devoted wife. She's an actress. She's a voiceover artist for some of the coolest commercials that you've ever seen. My friend, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you. You're a beautiful girl, beautiful soul, and just a ball of passion and energy.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be here, and I'm so excited. When I got the phone call saying that you guys went to interview, it was so exciting to go back to all your interviews and videos, and it made me so excited. So thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
It's a huge pleasure. We only ask celebs and people that we feel we share values and principles, and family,
Yes.
Family first. Spiritually, you're a very spiritual person. I've got that immediately when we walked in, and it's an honor to have you. We're very excited.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So I think let's begin with my favorite question. And at 17, which was probably like a couple of months ago, because you look like you just turned 18.
Thank you.
So
It's not the truth, though.
so let's take it back a couple of months ago. You're 17. You walk into this studio. You sit down right there on the empty seat, and we have a conversation with you, and we pick your brain. What's important to you? What are your priorities? What are your aspirations? What's important? Is acting all that you want to do, or what's going on in that busy mind of yours
That
at 17?
17-year-old mind.
Yeah.
So before I answer your question, I think thinking back to that age, people sometimes ask if you can go back in time to a specific year or
Yes.
age or whatever.
Yes.
What will that be? For me, it's definitely 16, 17.
Okay.
Because I think with all the knowledge I've gained and all the character I've built, there are so many things that I would want to incorporate into my 17-year-old self. I think a lot of things will be different, and a lot of reactions will be different. So definitely an age that I think is a very important age. At 17, I was in high school. I went to die Hoërskool Menlo Park.
Okay, awesome. That's just here. It's down the road. Yeah, it's not far.
It's there in Linwood in Pretoria East, and I absolutely loved my high school years. I was a bit of an introvert, not necessarily quiet. I was very active in my school community, but definitely a bit more shy and introverted, and I was an observer and a people's person. So currently for me as Mia Ann, I'm very pro anti-bullying campaigns. I think bullying is forms such a great part of our world these days, and it breaks my heart to know that is going on. So one thing I regret is that I sometimes even observed subtle bullying going on in high school, and I never stood up. I never said, listen, stop, what are you doing? I think because I was scared, and if I could go back now, I would definitely use that as my advantage to stand up and form part of anti-bullying campaigns, because I think that's a very important thing for us going through in life, and especially for our teens and our kids. They're not supposed to go through that. They are supposed to be loved and feel loved, and they're supposed to form part of relationship and community. And they should be who they want to be, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be bullies who break down and who hurt.
Yeah.
I'm
very open about the subject. I was a victim of bullying for many, many years. So myself and my sister, immigrant children, we came to South Africa when I was very, very young, 8.5 years old. And I experienced that simply because, so I couldn't speak any English. So always that awkward child that doesn't understand anything. And I know exactly what it feels like on this side of the fence. And it's a horrible experience.
Absolutely.
And, fortunately, I eventually found myself in high school, standard 6, standard 7, and, developed a very strong connection with the friends that I had, and I was a big anti-bully activist, if I may say. And you know, at a stage, I was the one that wanted to bully the bullies, and I still am. I feel very strongly.
No, definitely.
Whether it's in business or you know, if I got a feeling that someone's being bullied, I'm right there. I'm gonna bully you, no matter what it takes. You know, just to show you.
And I don't even think it's necessarily bullying someone else.
Just
I think
to say,
it's just
hey,
to stand up.
don't
and
do
I think
that.
that is right.
Yeah.
You are supposed to stand up, and you're supposed to do that in love still, but like strong. You need to be strong in whatever you say, but
100%.
still tell that person, listen, I love you for who you are, but what you are doing is wrong, and I dislike what you are doing.
So bully the bully for me means just to make sure that you
clarify.
don't see me as a
Yes.
bully.
No, not at all.
So bully the bully means, right, okay, take a seat. Let's just take a step back. You are doing 1, 2, 3 to this person. What if the tables were turned?
Absolutely.
And that person was doing 1, 2, 3 to you? How do you feel? Process that quickly. Okay, not lekker. So stop doing it.
Yes.
Let's go forward. Yeah.
And I think it goes deeper in that specific individual's life. I think they are hurting because of circumstances or something, and that is why they act out, and it's sad.
It's very sad. So, okay, 17 years old, you are to yourself, but you're active in your high school community.
Yes.
Are you doing sports? Are you an
Yes.
academic? What sports? Netball? You're a pretty tall girl.
Yes,
I can see that, yeah.
Netball and high jump, and
High
I
jump.
absolutely loved it.
What
Yes.
was your highest jump that you were able to clear?
I think it was 1.6 in my grade 8 year.
Wow.
So I did very well, but the older I got and the taller I got, the less high I jumped.
Okay.
But I enjoyed that, and I was active there, and I enjoyed being active, and then also formed part of the cultural department. So
Okay,
I did
of course.
choir, and I
Okay.
enjoyed it. We were called the Van Papendorp Engeltjies
Okay,
because our
nice.
director was John Marie van Papendorp, and amazing choir director. And obviously in your choir environment, you have specific groups and different type of groups. You have the cool kids, you have the not so cool kids, you have the ones in between, you have the rugby players, you have the drama kids, and that was great because that formed part of my community. So I never fell into specific groups. Like I said, I'm a people's person, so I enjoyed all people, and something from a young age that I picked up quite quickly was hurting people, like people who hurt and people who need love, and that was my purpose during high school. I love to befriend many different types of people, and hopefully I wish I had an impact. So
that's awesome. I'm sure you did, because you're very clear about protecting people. You're a protector. I can feel that energy. If something's going wrong with someone, you'd sit next to that person and through a cellar.
Absolutely.
Are you okay?
That
Everything
is my
will be
calling.
fine. Beautiful. Awesome. So
and then also the drama department, obviously. So I formed part of the drama club.
From get-go, from the beginning of high school.
No, I think I only got involved in my grade 10 year.
Okay.
I think that's standard 8.
Yeah.
And
it's confusing
I don't think
these
I
days,
ever played one of the main characters, but I just enjoyed it so much. And I think that is where the gogga bite, when
happened.
I had to decide in what direction I'm going to go. Especially during those years, top billing was very big, and
Yes.
I always wanted to be a top billing presenter.
Awesome.
And I think, obviously, I talked to many people to get their advice on what to go study, and everyone said, listen, I assume drama. So I went to go to study drama, and I enjoyed everything so much.
Beautiful. And then, you finish, you matriculate. How does that journey go into all the great parts that you've played? Does it happen overnight? Does it happen through audition? Did you get your first audition? Did you go for a couple of? Because normally actors and actresses that I speak to are like, Bobby, I went to like 10, and I was it was sad and it was terrible. Or were you like, this is my first one and I'm getting the part and I'm going for it?
I think that is what you wish for.
Yes.
But it's not always as easy. But what happened was in my second year I joined, because drama at the University of Pretoria focuses more on theatre training.
Okay.
And Pali was run by Shireen Swart. I don't know if you can remember her. She played Katinka in Ballade Vereniging. But Shireen, Performing Arts and Lifestyle Institute, focused more on film training. So I was very privileged to start that journey in my second year, and she then obviously got me a casting for Igoli, and I did that, and I played a very small cameo in Igoli, and it was a disappointing time for me, because I think it was a month or two afterwards they phoned me and said, listen, we're going to make this character bigger. Is Mia okay for doing that? Does she want to? And I was like, yes, I'm in my second year and I'm going to play in one of the biggest soaps in South Africa.
Yeah, of course.
And
which year is that?
That was 2008.
2008. So you're very young then.
Yeah, I was very young, and I was so excited because now I'm the first person in my year group who got this casting, and I'm going to get this role. And 2 weeks before I had to start filming, they phoned my agent. They said, listen, Igoli is closing. They're going to finish. So the storyline is not going to continue. And I was like, oh man, I'm so sad. And actually throughout that period, I realized how selfish I can be, because I haven't started there. I played a very small cameo, and then my heart went out to all these big actors playing parts for, 20 years plus, and they lost their job.
Sure.
And I think that is where compassion came into this industry for me, knowing that you cannot, you want to be selfish and you want to get the best part and you want to play constantly, but sometimes you need to acknowledge other people as well and their feelings and perspective. So I know that throughout the past, I'm now almost 35, and from 19 up to now, I've built so much character and I've gained so much perspective in this industry. So I'm thankful for that. It wasn't always easy, but
I think very, very importantly is to take things that happen for you, not to you, for you, with a pinch of salt, because most times, when something terrible, especially in the beginning of your career, when you're still a young actor, actress, salesperson, whatever it is, the first adversity that you face, you say to yourself, listen, it's bad. I would have loved to play this big role at this tender age, but what about the people that have lost their livelihoods?
Absolutely.
And then you can climb on from there.
Yes.
Beautiful. So, shame. I'm sorry to hear about that, but it taught you a lot.
Absolutely. You will always go through rejection in this industry and disappointment.
Any industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always tell myself, obviously in the beginning it was difficult because you go through that and you think, but I'm not worthy enough, I wasn't good enough. And it's not the truth.
Not only you.
Yes.
It's not only me, should I rather say you as well.
Yes.
So everybody goes through that.
We all go through that. And it's so important throughout those circumstances to acknowledge that you are worthy and that your worth doesn't lie in something like that.
Absolutely.
And I think as soon as you can get that, and you can get your brain and your heart to know that you aren't supposed to, you mustn't pull that and put it on. You must actually get to a stage where you say, but let me go through this process. I am allowed to be disappointed, I'm allowed to be sad, but I don't want that to take over my life. I want to use this as a character building experience.
We had a off-camera discussion, and you mentioned a book, so I picked up that you're a reader, and our company has a Book of the Month program. Every month, initially it was forced by me. So you will read a book and you will write a report of 3 paragraphs, 1 page. But now it's like, even people that have left. I met someone at the gym this morning. He left our company about 4 months ago. He said that, he's got spies inside the company about what is our current Book of the Month. And I want to mention exactly what you said. It's the obstacle is the way. A lot of people find adversity like, this thing is going to stop me, it's going to end my career, this is the worst news ever, instead of knowing that failure is actually teaching me. So it's teaching me to be humble.
Yes.
Like, relax. You're like 18 years old, 19 years old. You still have your whole career ahead of you. There's going to be bigger, better productions,
Yes.
which obviously you were a part of. But I think it's very important for young people to realize that, if you're 17, 18 and you start experiencing failure, you're like, bring me more. You have to become, even a little bit of a stoic.
Yeah.
Bring me more.
Yeah.
Give me more, because this teaches me. It gives me the
Absolutely.
the ability to,
and it
to
will
move
never
forward.
stop.
It never stop. And the more successful you become, we had another off-camera discussion, like, you've made many mistakes.
Yes.
that comes out of your mouth. That's why you've achieved a high level of success, because you've been able to
Yes.
work through them.
Yes.
So on that point, if you could, take the valuable knowledge and experience which money can't buy, you have to travel that road. If you could take one or perhaps two mindsets with you right in the beginning of your career, you entering into your first university drama class, and you're about to do theater and a little bit of film, like, what 2 or 3 qualities will serve you very, very well in that environment that you have now, that perhaps you could share with some of your fans?
So definitely I would say the first thing is know who you are.
Know who you are.
It's very important. I think it's, especially being young and you go into your studies, I was very solid, walking the straight road, narrow road child, a teenager. And then I went to study drama. And just like that,
You're
suddenly
exposed to-
I'm exposed to, and you rebel a bit, and then you feel so guilty because why? I was so strong in who I am. That's why I think you need to focus truly on who you are. Who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you want people to see when they look at you? And then know your worth. Your circumstances don't define your worth. You are
Absolutely
worthy,
not. Yeah.
and you are loved. And obviously you need to make the right decisions. You
High
can
five on
go
that.
from the narrow road to the very broad road, but it's so important to know your worth and to know that you are loved. And then, just to know that disappointment is real.
It's part of your journey.
It's part of the journey, and that it's not unique to you. Everyone goes through that. There's nothing wrong with you when you go through that. And that, like you said, to build experience and to incorporate that experience into your life, and then to be a better person afterwards. And then for me, I know it's the fourth one, but to
Beautiful.
serve other people. I think to be selfless in the selfish world makes you different.
Yeah.
And it's needed. So that for me is very important, especially from a young age. If you can read up and focus on that. And it's difficult because you are still young and you still need to go through experiences, but take those experiences and don't let them define you, but let them work for you and let them change whatever you know needs to be changed.
I've got a saying that I always use. If you lose, make sure you don't lose the lesson.
Yes.
Because everybody loses. I mean, Usain Bolt can't be the fastest
Yes.
human
Forever.
Yeah, he ages and he parties sometimes a little bit too much and then focuses off. So if you're not going to lose the lesson, you can progress with growth.
Absolutely.
If you lose the lesson, then it was all for nothing. So at least enjoy the lesson while it's painful.
Absolutely.
Biggest failure that you feel like, man, I wish this didn't happen to me.
Yeah, it's like I said, that I think that first big part that I booked for Igoli.
Okay.
That was a big, it's not necessarily a fail. It felt like a fail to me. But like I said, throughout that as well, I learned to be selfless and to think about other people. I'm thankful for that because it helped me to early on experience the disappointment. And that disappointment happens a lot in our industry. And now we can get to a stage where you understand it. And so I'm happy that it happened that year. It's bad because you are excited and you tell everyone immediately, and then you need to go back and say,
listen, by the way, it's not my fault.
It's not going to happen anymore. But I think that was one of the biggest failures for me up until now in my industry.
Awesome. It takes a village
Yes.
to raise a young man or a young
Yes.
woman. If you could touch on 3 people that were most influential in you coming up as a young lady, you know, in high school, and then out of high school into your professional career. Who are those people and why? 3 people.
Yes, so obviously my parents, my mom and my dad.
What does mom do?
Mom is a radiographer.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
not a radiologist, a
Okay,
radiographer.
So what is that exactly?
So she takes the x-rays.
She takes the
Yes,
physical x-ray.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And then my dad is a contractor, I think, a bouwrekenaar.
Okay,
What is that
building
in-
contractor, yes,
So,
okay.
and he works in that industry, and yeah, so both of them obviously had a big influence in my life. And
Who was more strict? I think mom was more strict.
yeah, I think definitely. So we are 3 children.
Okay.
It's my brother, but he died. He passed away in
so
2001. That's
so
okay.
sorry.
And then it's me and then my sister.
Okay.
She's 2.5 years younger than me. But obviously we grew up as a family, and my brother died, and unfortunately the year after my parents divorced.
Okay.
But despite that, I mean, me and my sister, we have strong relationships with both of my parents.
Beautiful.
So yeah, they speak into our lives and they love us very
Beautiful.
much. So yeah, so thankful for them. And then obviously I thought about it during my high school and university years, and especially after that as well. I know Jesus is not a man now, but he was a man.
Absolutely.
And definitely had a big influence in my life. And then 4th person is my husband. I think when you get married, we all know it's not always easy, and you are 2 different people coming together. So during those times, you learn so much from the other person.
Absolutely.
So definitely who I am today, my husband had a huge inspraak. He spoke into my life as my husband. And I grew so much, especially emotionally. I think when we met, I was a bit more of an emotional human being. I think also temperamental, being sanguine and phlegmatic, where he is more a melancholy. So I think we helped each other so much during our past almost 11 years of marriage. Yeah.
Beautiful. And if you don't have any shoots, if you don't have anything to do, you know, obviously you're a young mom,
Yes.
so the little guy is always around you, but
Yeah.
if there's no cameras, it's just your day to chill. What do you like doing? Are you on a bicycle? Are you just hanging out watching Netflix?
That
Is
like
it,
usually I would have read, but now it's like sitting in front of the TV
Okay,
and just doing Netflix.
Okay.
And a bad one is Facebook. Oh,
Facebook.
social media. But yeah, no, there needs to be a balance. But definitely, I like reading, and I like having quiet, quality time with God, and then obviously my Netflix.
Beautiful.
a
What's your
favorite.
favorite show at the moment?
The Office. I mean, I think
Okay,
yeah,
that's
they're
very funny.
Yeah, it's very
It's
funny.
so funny. Yeah.
So me and my husband, we share a liking in The Office, and I mean, I think it's the 20th time that we are going through the season or the seasons, but that's
Beautiful.
something that I can just sit back and relax
Yeah,
and watch.
and like come to me, the laughter.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
I enjoy it as well. On this question, you know, it's also one of my favorite questions. It's the landmines question.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of successful people say, listen, this happened for me. So it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. But, you know, having said that, your hundreds of thousands of fans that are going to watch this, you know, old and young, our oldest fan is 93. Uncle Saki is regularly sending me private messages like, I loved what you did there, try it harder here, like, and you know, we get lots of feedback. But if you could say a couple of landmines that you wish you didn't step on, and simply to perhaps an aspiring actress or an actor that we can take their journey from 10 years down to 2 years, or from 20 years down to 5 years. Like, what are some of the downs that you've went through that you can advise on for people to try and avoid?
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting question, because I do believe, like we said, landmines or difficult circumstances, they do teach you. It's a lesson process, and I mean, you need to be teachable throughout difficult times as well.
Very important.
So one thing that is definitely a landmine that I feel I stepped on, but after much thought processes around that, I realized that if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to help the kids, especially because I have a heart for kids. I wouldn't be able to help them to my fullest. So that was rebelling in my university years. And I'm not that big of a rebel, but for who I am, that was rebelling.
So what does rebelling mean?
No, like started drinking or
All
experiencing with smoking a bit, and then you feel so guilty and you cry, and then it's like, and some people are just like, Mia, that's not the worst rebelling, but for me it wasn't always, because
it's not.
I said, I wasn't always like that.
We'll have a rebel discussion off camera about my rebelling years.
But obviously, I mean, I went through an enjoyable period,
yes.
But I mean, sometimes looking back, it wasn't who I was during my school years, and especially as a spiritual Christian, that was not part of those characteristics.
But we're all frail men and women anyway.
No, absolutely, and forgiveness and love from God. I mean, it helps us so much.
Beautiful.
God is so gracious. But anyway, so I think that if it wasn't for my rebelling years, I wouldn't be able to, in a non-judgmental way, talk to people or kids who approaches me and say, listen, I went through this or I did this, and now I can just be empathetic.
And relate, because you've experienced some of this stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So that was definitely, I haven't been through so many landmines. I think the biggest landmine I went through in my life was, as a family with my parents and my sister, was the death of my brother. And to go through the thought processes of why did this happen? The why questions the whole time. Why did we have to go through such a traumatic experience at such a young age? But looking back in retrospect, I mean, I've developed an eternal perspective, which I'm so excited for, knowing that we will see each other again.
He's in a better place than me and you are currently. Yeah?
And,
I really believe that as well.
Yes, definitely. And we went through, I went through a lot that a young girl shouldn't have gone through at that age. But I've built character and I matured throughout those years. I think I matured too quickly, maybe. So that's why I should have just enjoyed life in my high school years, but I felt like I need to be the supporter of my family, and I need to be strong for them, and they didn't expect that from me, but I felt like that, and that's why I matured very quickly. So if I could say, I mean, stay young and joyful as long as you can, that's one thing that I would just give people, and not be so hard on yourself. I think that's the big thing, especially in our industry. We are so hard on ourselves that if we experience that rejection or disappointment, it can trigger you and it can influence you for a long period of time, and you're not supposed to go through that. You need to go through the emotion and say, oh, I feel bad about this, but then quickly stand up again and just continue and work harder for the next one.
I've got a life hack around that, because in our industry, I've just got we've got 240 odd staff, lots of moving parts, different departments, strong personalities. The women of Mitmac are like, we've got some strong women in Mitmac, and encountering difficulties and problems, I always say to myself, okay, this is a 30-minute situation. So what do I mean? A staff member resigned. Recently, a manager that me and him have created a bond. A strong person. I've invested a lot of time to teach him techniques and the way that our company works. When that person resigns, it's very emotional. I feel like I failed him, his family. I failed myself. I failed the company. But I know that this is a 4 to 5 hour emotional investment. Yeah. I have to process everything. If I need to, drive around and have a cry, I'm not ashamed to admit that, men do cry.
It's necessary.
And give it that time. But don't give it 3 hours. Give it the 5 hours it deserves. And then move on.
Absolutely.
So, some problems I only allocate literally. I've got 30 seconds for this. I'm going to process this, and 30 seconds later, it's out of my way. It's difficult to do, but if you do that enough times, you sort of discipline yourself on how to maybe this helps someone out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't be too proud that if you can't go through it alone, to get someone that you trust and just go through that
that's
process.
the best advice that you could ever give someone. Yeah. That was in fact my next question. What's about, like, for me, that's the best advice. I don't know about you.
No, definitely. I think you need to be open to someone that you trust, and you don't need to talk to every single person you see. Find someone.
You mustn't talk to every, because then you become your problem doesn't carry weight anymore, because you need to know this person I can go to with this issue, this person.
Absolutely.
With my marriage, I can't go and speak to someone that's been divorced 4 times.
It's not going to work, because they're going to tell you divorce.
Yeah, they're going to be like, listen, here's what you need to do, right? I'm like, geez, but you're on your 3rd marriage. I'm like, please don't tell me what I need to do.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. You go to one person that you trust, and you share your heart, and you get the right advice. That's the big thing. Open your ears to what is the right advice.
Very important.
Not emotional advice, the
very
right
advice.
Very,
very important. Wow. If you could spend a day with someone, dead or alive, like hang out with that person from the morning until the evening, is it, someone in your industry? Is it someone completely out of your industry?
It's definitely my brother. I think
brother.
It would be great.
I had a feeling you would say that.
I think I spoke to my sister the other day, and I said, imagine at our age now, because that time he was standard 9 and I was standard 6, and
so
I was
3 years older.
Yeah, and it was like a high school relationship, brother and sister. You're like,
and standard 9, his ideas
cool,
were, yes.
And I'm like this little sister.
Following him around.
So especially now, yes, I would love to see how he would be now. Would he be a father? Would he be, he would have been a great uncle. And who would his wife be? And how would we bride together? So I would love to do that. I think that would be amazing.
Beautiful. What's one question that you would love to ask him?
Oh, what is heaven like?
What is heaven like?
Yes.
Beautiful. Wow, that's the best question.
Yeah, I must say it's actually so an innocent picture I have here. But I remember the first time I watched Titanic was in standard 4. I think that was 1999 that Titanic came out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think the next time I watched it was after his death. And I remember seeing that one scene where the grandma, what's her name? Kate Winslet's character?
Yes.
Jack and Rose. Where Rose, I think she dies at the end, or she goes to sleep, and then she has this dream where she goes back as a young Rose, and she walks into the doors on the Titanic, and everyone stands and they clap, and she walks up the stairs, and Jack is there, and he takes her hand. And I remember that time I saw this picture of, I think that is what heaven's going to be like. You walk through these doors, and all your family and friends, everyone you know, they cheer you on, welcome, welcome, and then it's Jesus standing there with his hand and say, welcome. Wow. So it was such a nice picture for me, and I think it was an innocent, childish type of picture, but I think we need to have faith like children. And
absolutely. And it's very important to stay childish as well.
I think so.
It really is.
I think being an adult and going
through all
our
that's hard enough. Just be childish sometimes.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Now, if you could be a little fly on the wall, and you could overhear a conversation. So maybe in your industry, maybe when it's time to decide who we're going to pick and why, or any conversation.
It's actually a good one.
It's a good one.
After an audition, sitting on the wall, hearing what they discuss about you.
So what's the room like? Who's in the room? What's the conversation? And what would you like to overhear? I love eavesdropping on people. That's why I always ask people this question, because it gives me insight of what are people actually thinking and saying when you're not around.
Can I just say, I think mine is a childlike thought.
Okay.
It's if I observe my little 2-year-old eating, and he's got this mannerism while eating, and it's so interesting. I love it. I love just observing him whilst he does it, because he's just himself. There's no way of chew with your mouth closed or anything.
It's just who he is.
So I would love to go be a fly on the wall, because when I observe him, I can't imagine all those kids sitting at the table, each with their own little lunchbox, and they eat together. I would love to see how these 2-year-olds interact with each other whilst they're eating. Or they're just sitting and staring at each other eating. what are they doing? Are they talking? Are they stealing each other's
Yeah.
grapes? What are they doing? So
Awesome.
it's very childlike, but I think
Very
I'm so in love
innocent,
with
very
my
beautiful.
kid that every aspect of his life, I would love to just know everything about it. And we're lucky because his teacher sends videos and photos and everything. But I mean, just for a day to sit there and observe who is his friends, how does he interact, I would love that.
My friend, first car, was it a Golf? I always
No.
not a Golf. Oh,
It was not.
not a Golf.
So obviously I'm a December baby. So
December, 12th of December.
12th of December.
So my dad's born on the
Hey.
12th of December. So I pick up very strong personality from it. Like my dad's so strong, man. Even some days I'm like,
Sagittarius is.
oh,
I'm
you
not into
guys
that,
are.
but I know that we are. I think it's more temperamental. You can be a 12th of January baby.
Yeah,
or
12 of the 12th. That's a
Yes.
that's a powerful day to be born. Yeah.
But so obviously I couldn't do my license in my matric year. I think that was most matrics looked forward to their licenses because
That's right.
So in my first year, beginning of my first year, I went for my license. But I know my dad bought me a second-hand Mazda 3.
Mazda 3. Oh, fancy pants.
Very
Okay.
fancy.
Okay,
and
that's
I felt so guilty driving around to campus, and everyone's there with their little
Golf.
Golfies, and I'm
some
coming with
speakers
my
in it.
white Mazda 3, and I felt so bad. And at a stage, I remember asking my dad, "Can't I just drive with the Volkswagen?" He has this very old Volkswagen that he drove when he was in matric. And I'm like, "Can I please drive with this one?" And I felt so guilty
He
because
still has the
blessed,
Volkswagen.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And he
Amazing.
blessed me with this car, and I felt like now I'm like taking this gift, and I'm like, I don't want it. But I love that car, and all my friends love the car. So we always used my Mazda 3.
Awesome.
to
Of course
drive
you did,
everything.
because it was reliable. The other cars weren't reliable.
Yes.
So big ups on your dad.
Yes.
And thank you very much for making sure that she was always safe
Yeah,
and
thanks, Dad.
always there on time most times.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And dream car, what's your absolute dream car?
We went through that discussion yesterday, me and my husband. And I told him, if they ask me this question, what must I say? And
Like, give me some car names.
He's like, no, Mercedes Pagoda. And I'm like, what is that? And I went to look at the photo, and I'm like, it's beautiful. But anyways, no, he said I must say Ferrari F430 to compete
F430.
with him.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I love that car. Well, my friend, I hope you buy a red one for yourself one day and a different color one for him as well. So then you can have a hers and his.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. You're a big reader.
Yes.
What are you currently reading, and what's your all-time favorite book?
So currently I'm not reading anything because of my little one, and I never get time to read, so makes it a bit difficult. I'm reading the Bible, but
Beautiful.
I'm not reading a book. All-time favorite, definitely a book that I've read, I think, almost 5 times now,
Yeah.
is Francine Rivers' Redeeming Love.
Redeeming Love.
If you haven't read it,
I haven't read it yet. I'm going to make sure that we put a link at the bottom as well. For all
Francine
the
Rivers'
Beautiful.
Redeeming Love. The book it's about unconditional love and forgiveness. And I think that those are 2 topics that needs to be incorporated in everyone's lives. I think to love, we always speak about love is a choice, not a feeling.
Love is a choice and not a feeling. I agree.
So infatuation is a feeling, and
Yes.
it goes away. And then you need to choose to love, even through difficult times.
So you can call love an adjective because it's a working
Yes,
word.
absolutely. You
It's
need
something
to.
that you need to work on.
Yes,
I love it.
absolutely. And then forgiveness. I think without forgiveness, if my brother died by a taxi driver who drove over a red light, and he hit him, and then he drove away, and I could have been so angry and hateful towards this person, but I went through a forgiveness process, and it broke through in so many aspects of my life. And forgiveness is such an easy thing for me now because I had to go through that process at a very young age.
Wow.
And I know that if you don't forgive, it can have such a hold on your life in a negative way. And to just give yourself freedom in that regard is so important.
Beautiful.
So that's why read the book.
I'm gonna
Read Redeeming
definitely-
Love.
That's my next book I'm going to do.
Yes, it's a beautiful,
Thank you
beautiful
for the
book.
recommendation.
Yes.
And for all your hundreds of thousands of fans? Like, what's coming up next?
Don't think
Where we
it's
gonna? Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Like the company is buzzing today. Everybody's like, is she coming? Is she coming? What time she's coming? So I said, no. Well, our interview was booked for 10 o'clock. I said to everybody, she's coming at 2 this afternoon. Like, otherwise you're gonna have like a row of people blocking you. I promise it's
Oh, shame.
huge fan base in our company. But what's coming up next? Like, what are some of the things that you're working on? Like a little sneak peek.
Yeah, so currently I'm a voiceover dubbing artist for a main character in so MultiChoice and CakeNet commissioned the Turkish series that Afrikaans people are so into now. It's wonderful. So they translated it into Afrikaans. So we are now the dubbing artists for this Turkish series, and mine is called Never Let Go in English, in Die Eysterhandse Greep, and it's on channel 146 on DSTV. And I see that people love it. It's a clean, intriguing telenova. So it's still a soap, but I love being in studio, and we work for hours weekly to record and dub, and it's hard work. I think people have no idea how hard it is to be able to read and to look at the mouth and Afrikaans we don't speak the same vowels and everything as the Turkish does. Yeah. And so it's difficult, but we have an amazing team working behind us. I mean, from translators with the script to the directors sitting in studio and the sound engineers and the post-production. So very exciting for me. So I love doing that.
How long does it take to do let's say an episode? Do you go, today we're going to do this episode, bang it out until it's done?
Yeah, so it's difficult because remember they've got a lot of actors and big actors doing, one of the actors, Denver, he's a director at Sievenaland, so he's very busy, so they need to get him in around his schedule. So they bring you in. Sometimes I work for 4 or 5 hours in studio a day, and then maybe twice a week or 3 times a week. It depends. So I have 3 directors I work with.
Wow.
So they work very hard because they obviously need to. It's a daily thing. I think it goes from Monday to Thursday, and it's an hour episode. So we need to have an episode ready every day.
That's difficult.
So it's very difficult, and it's hard work, but they get it right because they're professional and they know what they're doing.
Amazing. What else are you busy with? I know that's not the only stuff that you're doing currently. There must be, give us more.
So obviously I told you about my heart for kids. So yes. We have a friend who got this idea. So CBN America has an animation show. It's called Superbook. Superbook. Now Superbook is about 2 teenagers or 2 kids with a little robot friend, and then they sin in a certain way, in whatever way they steal maybe or disrespectful towards their parents. And then Superbook, who represents the Holy Spirit, comes and he takes them into a Bible story. So they cover all the stories from Genesis to Revelation. And it's amazing. The visuals, the animation is done so perfectly. So I know that I think it was the CEO of CBN said he would love to translate Superbook in all the languages in the world. So then we decided we would like to pitch the Afrikaans version, and we went through so many meetings, and then we pitched it and we recorded, or we dubbed our own first episode of Superbook.
Where can we see it?
And so you can, it's either on Truth TV or you go to the YouTube channel and you type in Superbook. And so the first episode we did was He is risen, hy het opgestaan.
Beautiful.
And it was about the crucifixion. And it's so amazing because kids learn so much throughout that whole process. So now Superbook commissioned us, they accepted our budget, so now we are going to translate all the episodes, and we are very excited because I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for kids to understand the Bible, not by only reading it, but to see it visually in an exciting way by looking at this animation that is intriguing, and it takes them into every Bible episode. So I'm very excited about that.
So it's for me, this is the perfect example of selling. So selling an idea in a way that is most effective is through storytelling.
Yes.
So you are saying, listen, this is what happened and this is how it happened, and take you on a journey until you're like, beautiful, I believe,
Yes,
I believe, I
yes,
believe,
yes.
because there's a story into it. Amazing.
Absolutely,
Can't
yeah.
wait to see that.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna be your first like and comment on the channel.
Yay,
Definitely.
but please go have a look,
I will.
especially if you have kids, children, young children. Go to YouTube and type in Superbook, hy het opgestaan. For the Afrikaans kids, but even if for the English kids, go to the Superbook YouTube channel, and you can download Superbook, the app, and they have like games and quizzes for all the kids about Bible questions and everything. I have a big heart for that. A lot of passion for this project.
That's amazing. I really like that. Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. My friend, your energy, your spirit, your love for humanity is absolutely beautiful. We are so honored. I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a beautiful story. I wish you all the best, all the success.
And for you guys too.
Thanks for sharing your time with us.
It's a pleasure. Yay. Thank you.